Hello and welcome to Rathod Science Academy. Today in this session we are going to see current affairs of 17th July 2025. So whatever the important articles which are there, so we are going to discuss that in detail from both prelims and as well as mains point of view, guys. And one of my requests is if you're watching any news analysis, so please do follow that consistently. So please don't shift from one news channel to another news channel, because what are the things that I will be covering here, I know what I covered and what I left, so that if there is any repetition of article, I will be covering in the later classes. So please try to ensure that you're following one news channel, guys. Okay, so now let us see the first article. See the title: Government merges 36 schemes to float farm plan. So what is this article talking about? So government is coming up with merging of 36 schemes, and these schemes are focusing on agriculture, right? So how you can expect a question? You have to see about what is that scheme name, and you have to see what are the aims and objectives of this new scheme. Okay, I'll write here. So first you have to know about what is the name of the new scheme, and next you have to see what are the aims and objectives of that new scheme, and next you have to see what are the advantages of implementing of that scheme, and next one is you have to see what are the challenges. And this scheme is related to agriculture. And please make a note. So name of that scheme is Prime Minister Dhan Dhanya Krishi Yojana. Very, very important. So name of that scheme is Prime Minister Dhan Dhanya Krishi Yojana. Dhan means nothing but money. Dhanya means nothing but produce. Krishi Yojana. Okay, so have you noted down? Prime Minister Dhan Dhanya Krishi Yojana. Very, very important. Okay, so now I want to ask you a question. So already we have lots of schemes related to agriculture in state level and as well as in the union level. That is, in central level and in the state level, we have lots of schemes, right? For example, we have PM Kisan, which is central government scheme. And in states, they have their own state related schemes. For example, in Odisha, we have Kalia scheme. And in state of Telangana, we have Raitu Bandhu scheme. So like that, each and every state, they have their own schemes related to agriculture. But now, why this government wants to come up with this new scheme, PMDDY? What is the reason? So to understand aims and objectives of this scheme, first of all, you have to know about what are the problems or challenges in our agriculture. So do we have problems in our agriculture or not? Yes, right. So now you guys tell me, what are the problems in agriculture sector? So that let us see whether these problems are going to addressed by this new scheme or not. So in that way you have to study whenever you are taking any scheme. Okay, now tell me problems of agriculture sector. What are the problems we have? Okay. So mostly our agriculture is dependent on rainfall. Okay, that means we don't have proper irrigation facilities. Next. Yeah. Storage facilities. Yes, we don't have proper storage facilities. That is nothing but, can I say, credit facilities are not there properly? Yes, no proper credit facilities. Next. Yes, there is lack of technology usage. Next. Okay, so regarding subsidies also we have problem regarding releasing of subsidies from government. Next. Okay, where is low MSP for certain crops, and MSP is given for only 23 crops. Not all crops are covered under this MSP. So it is also one problem. And next. Yes, marketing of produce is also becoming problem for farmer to sell his produce. Marketing. Next. Okay, seeds. Okay, input cost is also very high. Yeah, input cost, pesticides, herbicides, fertilizer, seeds, everything comes under this input cost. Next, the logistic facility, proper transports, logistic facilities we don't have. Okay, so these are the common problems we have in our agriculture sector. Will you agree this or not? So if government is coming up any scheme, whether it is new or any other already existing scheme, so that has to address these problems. Because our Indian economy is called as primary economy, that is mostly led by agriculture, right? So agriculture is very, very important for our country because more than 50% of our people, they're dependent on this agriculture and allied activities. So government needs to give for sure support. So now let us see whether this new scheme it is going to address these challenges or not. How it is different from other earlier schemes. So you have to see that, guys. So this article is saying that our Indian government launched Pradhan Mantri, that is Prime Minister Dhan Dhanya Krishi Yojana, that is PMDDKY. It is a comprehensive agriculture program, and this program had been approved by our Union Cabinet. And actually, this scheme it is focusing on enhancing agriculture productivity, sustainability, and formal welfare. So these are the three keywords that you have to make a note. So this scheme is focusing on improving first thing, that is agriculture productivity. Second one is sustainability, and next one is farmer welfare. So why we have to focus on sustainability in this agriculture? Because climate change is happening. We have uneven rainfall. We have in some areas floods, and even lots of certainties we have. For example, if there is climate change, so we can also get this low cost attacks. So that will be impacting this agriculture, right? So because of this, we have to focus on sustainability in this agriculture for sure. And this initiative which consolidates, that is nothing but which is merging already existing 36 schemes from 11 central ministries, and they are coming up with a unified framework. And now in this scheme they are especially focusing 100 low productivity districts across India. Very, very important point. It is not completely uniformly implemented in our country. So they are identifying 100 low productivity areas. In that areas only they are going to implement this scheme. So what are the key objectives? The first one is we have to enhance productivity of agriculture and as well as crop diversification. What is this? What is the meaning of this crop diversification? We have to change to other crops. So now according to your knowledge, please tell me which crops are grown more in our country? Rice, that is wheat, rice, paddy, sugarcane. So actually these, what are the problems with these crops, especially rice and sugarcane? We need more amount of water. Do we have water uniformly throughout our country? So we have plateau areas, we have plains, we have mountains, we have hills, we have diverse geography. So because of this geography, can we ensure that equal availability of water throughout our country? No. Is that sustainable to grow this more water intensive crop throughout our country? No. So because of this, there is a need of crop diversification. So especially in these areas where we have low water, especially you can take irrigation or like low groundwater levels. So we have to go for growing of water less taking crops. Can anyone tell me examples of water less intensive crops? Millets, yes, bajra, jowar, ragi, like that we can grow. And even what are the advantages of growing of millets? So we can get micronutrients. So actually our country is having a problem called as hidden hunger. So have you heard about this concept hidden hunger? Anyone? What is this hidden hunger is about? Yes. So people are taking food, but they are not taking balanced diet with vitamins, minerals, everything. So they are having micronutrient malnutrition. Micronutrient malnutrition. So this problem is called as hidden hunger. To address this problem of hidden hunger, we can use some alternatives for the food that we are taking, that is rice or wheat. So which are the best alternatives? They are millets. And the advantage of this millets is the time taken for getting of crop is less compared to that of sugarcane, compared to that of rice. And next one here is they need less amount of water. We can grow them with this just rainfall that we are getting. Okay, so we can go for crop diversification. And next important objective here is we want to strengthen our post-harvest storage and infrastructure at panchayat and block levels. So do we have proper storage system in the rural areas? So if you go to urban areas, at least in that urban areas we have cold storage rooms. But that concept is not there in almost all villages. I think it is at zero level, right? So here we are focusing on especially improving of post-harvest storage system in this rural areas, that too at panchayat levels and block levels. And this one is we are focusing on short-term and long-term credit for farmers. It is very important. So especially whenever farmers they decided to grow that so and so crop, so they have to bring the seeds and they have to make their land perfect. And next one is they have to bring fertilizers, everything. So the input cost will be normally high for the farmers. So normally what happens here is farmers, they don't have proper credit facilities. So because of that, they'll go to nearby money lender and they'll borrow money for the high interest rate. So because of this, there will be a huge debt burden on farmers. So whenever government is providing this access to short-term and long-term credit facilities, so the burden on the farmer will be at least reduced so that we can improve income of the farmer. And next one here is we are focusing on sustainable farming practices to ensure environmental resilience. So as you all know that climate change is happening, global warming is happening, it is having impact on not only humans but even agriculture, environment, everything. So whatever the agriculture we are doing, that should be according to our changing of the climate. That is called as climate resilience. That means even the drought also we have to produce food. Okay, if drought happens, we people will be always hungry, right? So we have to take food for survival. So for that we need to focus on environmental resilience or climate resilience crops. For example, drought resistant crops. For example, you know that salinity is increasing, especially in the soil. Why? We are exploiting this groundwater. We are removing as much as groundwater from the underground. So because of that, what happening? The soil salinity is also increasing. So we have to develop salinity resistant crops. So like that we can use technology, gene editing, so that we can make this climate resilient crops. So these are the objectives. And how we are focusing, how we are improving this agriculture productivity, especially we are focusing on modern farming techniques. And we are going to focus on high yield variety seeds. And this one is we are focusing on technology adoption. Like we can use drones, we can use AI, we can use precision agriculture, through which we can improve agriculture productivity. You have to write these examples, how we are doing that. And this one is irrigation development. In this irrigation especially, we are focusing on drip irrigation, sprinkler irrigation. So do you know this drip irrigation? What is this drips? So we'll be connecting one motor with small pipes and we will be making some holes or some equipment will be there. So that equipment will drop water drop by drop to the roots directly, so that there is no wastage of water. And you know about the sprinkler irrigation, especially in the groundnut fields, we will be seeing the sprinklers, carrot and groundnut. Okay, so that we can minimize the wastage of water and we can use water efficiently. And next one is we are focusing on post-harvest infrastructure. As I said, we are focusing on development of storage facilities. And next one here is how government is going to provide a short-term or long-term credit, that is through Kisan Credit Card Scheme. And even government is coming up with some other new financial mechanisms through which farmers can have the access to this credit mechanisms. As one is for sustainable practices, we are focusing on organic farming, we are focusing on natural farming methods, and as well as climate resilient crop varieties, so that we can ensure long-term environment sustainability. So through these are the mechanisms through which we are going to address or we are going to achieve those objectives. And now you guys tell me, what is the impact? Is that good or not? So what is the impact of this scheme? So see this and tell me. These are the core components of this scheme. And what is the impact that we can see in the future? Yes, GDP from primary sector increases. Very good. Next. Come on, think and tell me. Is upgradation of technology in this agriculture. Yes. Next. Infrastructure development and logistics. So that easy movement of goods, and as well as we can store that agriculture produce for long period of time. So that, have you ever seen in especially YouTube shorts, you can see tractor full of tomatoes were dropped in lakes, ponds, and even they'll throw the vegetables on the roadside. So can we decrease that kind of losses for this farmer? That means, can we decrease food wastage indirectly? Yes, we can decrease food wastage in our country, so that we can increase income of farmers. Next. Next, tell me. Okay, proper management of water. Okay, next. Decreasing of suicidal rate of farmers. Very good. Next. Okay, we can address this development imbalance. Okay, between rural areas and urban areas. Okay, good point. Next. Okay, strengthen or improve farmers' income. Okay, so let us see those. So first one here is, so because of this scheme, it will directly benefits 1.7 crore farmers who are present in this 100 low productivity areas in our country. And this one is, as you said, we can enhance rural productivity, we can boost rural economy, and we can also improve food security of our country. So even though India is the largest producer of most food products, but even though on another side we are having hunger, yes or no? So in the global hunger index, India's rank is very bad. So can we improve all those things through this scheme? Yes. And this one here is, yes, we are focusing on sustainability, we are focusing on organic farming, we are focusing on natural farming, where we reduce the use of chemicals. So can we improve soil fertility? Yes. And even, can we achieve our targets of net neutrality or carbon neutrality or net zero by 2070? Yes. And this one is, even we can also improve infrastructure credit access, and we can also enhance income stability for these farmers. And now you guys tell me, what are the challenges we have? Is it easy to implement? Tell me. So actually, how many schemes that we are merging? 36. From how many ministries? 11 ministries. Will each ministry have the proper coordination between them? In our class only, we don't have proper coordination between one person to another person. They are ministers and from different states. How is it possible? So we have obviously implementing challenges, and even states, they have their own schemes in their areas. So will there be a proper cooperative federalism between central and state? Again, a big question mark. We don't know. Because in central government, which party is in power? BJP. Do this all states in our country is having BJP in their state level? We have regional governments, we have other opposition party also there in power in certain states. So because of this, obviously, there will be certain challenges in implementation of this scheme. And next one is resources. Do we have that much resource? So government will be not having that much funds always. We always have the financial crunch. So we have to go for ensuring of public-private partnership. And do these private people work for service? They always want profit. Again, this is one challenge. And this one is technology adoption. So you're saying that using of drones, you say that yes, you can use AI, machine learning, digital platforms, but it requires training. It is not that much easy to adapt to technology, especially in these rural areas where literacy level is very low. Again, this is one more challenge. And this one is, we proper monitoring of these 100 districts across our country, and evaluation is also will become very difficult. So that obviously there will be implementation gaps. Clear? Yeah, this is about this article, and very, very important article of the day. And see this article. After 12-year exile, 29 tribal families to return home in Gujarat. Tell me, what is this article talking about? It is talking about tribal people in Gujarat state. So from which subject in your GS you can connect with? You can connect with governance, you can connect with society. Especially in your governance, you have this topic called as vulnerable sections of society. So there you will be studying about this tribal people and their problems. And in governance, government will be coming up with lots of schemes for the development, right? So in that, government will be also coming up with certain schemes which are related to tribals. So from that area, you can connect this article, guys. Okay, so what is the meaning of exile? Okay, they went away from that area where they are normally residing. So title says that after 12 years of exile, 29 tribal families returned home in Gujarat. What does it mean? So they went away from that area 12 years ago and now they came back. Why? So actually, this topic is also important from anthropology, from this area, that is social control. So whenever we are having a group of people who are living together, that is called as society, right? Society is nothing but the group of people who are living together, right? So what happens whenever any person who is violating the rules and norms of that so-and-so society? Will other people will accept them? No, right? So we will be having one head of that so-and-so group, and the responsibility of this person is that all people should follow norms, rules and regulations of that society. Is this we following in our constitution or not? So we have central government, we have state, in the state we have local bodies. So actually, if any state government, if it is not functioning according to the mandates of constitution, what happens? Governor will be giving report to whom? President. And president, what he'll do? He will use article 356 and he'll impose president's rule on that. That is called as emergency powers, emergency provisions, right? So in the same way, in the society also, especially this tribals comes under simple societies. You're not complex societies, you're simple societies. So in this simple societies also we have this social control. If anyone who is not following the rules and regulations, so they will be getting punishments. So normally, if any one person in our present mainstream society, if they're doing any crime or if they're violating anything, do we have punishments? Yes, we have courts, we have police system, we have judicial system, and we have jails. Even death sentence can be awarded. So in the same way, in this societies also, they have informal mechanisms. So in our state, it is a complex society, we have this formal like judicial system, we have police system, we have our own CRPC, IPC, BNSS, like that we have our own things. But here they have informal mechanisms. So in this Gujarat, in this tribals, they have one informal mechanism. The name of that here is Chadotaru. Chadotaru. Chadotaru is nothing but if certain group of people who are having disputes with other people, can we ensure harmony? So normally in our homes also we can see, like if your family is having dispute with another family, if you both are invited to a function, so will these two people will go? If they come, I won't come. Please don't call him. We'll be warning that person who came to invite us. Are you inviting that person? If they come, we don't come. So it happens, right? So in the same way, if there are two groups of people, if they are having disputes in that society, can we ensure harmony? No, they'll come and they'll fight. Sometimes it will also lead to violence, killings of the people, it happens, right? So to stop that and to ensure peace and security, so they'll follow this method called as Chadotaru. It is nothing but their social actions or social sanction mechanisms through which the people are centered out from that so-and-so area to ensure peace in that society. That is called as Chadotaru. It is mainly followed in this tribal hamlets in this Gujarat. Clear? So why they are following this Chadotaru tradition till now is for conflict resolution, to resolve the conflicts and to mitigate intra-community conflicts and to reduce violence and to reduce escalations. So that is the thing which happens normally, right? In our family also, if the siblings are fighting, like anything means One will be staying in home and one will be staying in hostel. Have you ever seen that? The same mechanism. Yes or no? It is there in our normal family also. We'll see in our daily life. So in that sense, the tribal people, they will send their entire families out of that area. Okay, that is called as Chedutaru. And it is based on, especially if any community is violating the community norms, if there is any group of the people in that certain society, if they are violating the community norms, if they are causing any harm to that community, if they are having any disputes regarding land or resources or social conduct, they will prioritize this exile. Okay, that is the thing. Yeah. And see this image. What is this about? Any idea? It is resembling like Kantara, right? Kantara movie. So actually it is about Kalyan. Kalyan. It is normally seen in state of Kerala. Please make a note. Kalyan in Kerala. Kalyan. 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 Kalyan in Kerala. So this topic is important from our art and culture. It is part of Kerala tradition, guys. So normally we'll celebrate festivals. Why we'll celebrate festivals? What is the reason? Preservation of culture. What is the reason behind celebrating of certain festivals? For example, we do celebrate Sankranti festival. What is the motive behind the Sankranti festival? Okay, so after harvesting, the crop comes into the hands of farmer. With that happiness, he will be celebrating that so and so festival. Why we celebrate this Dasra festival, Diwali festival? There is certain reason behind it, right? So here you have to make a note of agriculture related festivals in our country. Okay, very important concept. Every year UPSC will be asking this kind of questions. And whenever you are writing essay also, you can connect this kind of examples, why people have this certain kind of traditions and culture. Everything which is having certain reason why we do that. Everything happens because of a reason, right? So we have to know what is the reason behind it. And normal people, they don't want to see that. But as an UPSC aspirant, you have to search what is the reason behind it. Nothing will happen without a reason, guys. Okay, see that and try to chase with that. If you have that enough reasons why we are doing that, so you will become a best administrator in India for sure. Okay, so see this. In Kerala, Kalyan is deity associated with agriculture prosperity. And actually, it is mainly celebrated in the month of Karke Dakkam. It is nothing but middle of your July to middle of August. They will celebrate this festival. And this ritual is known as Kalyan Kodukal. It involves crafting of models. So they will make models of agriculture tools. Normally, which are the tools that we'll use in agriculture? Normally, plough we'll use ox. So whatever the agriculture models that we use in our agriculture, they will make that models by using leaves of jackfruit or banana, coconut and arrowroot. So they'll take only naturally available leaves and branches and they'll make that models. And what they do is they will place that models under jackfruit tree. Okay, and especially that will be there in the southwestern corner of the house. So they will follow certain vastu systems here and they'll keep that in the southwest corner of this house. And actually this practice will invoke Kalyan. Kalyan is nothing but god related to agriculture. So they will get the blessings of this so and so god, so that they will be getting agriculture prosperity in that year. Okay. And they believe that if they are not satisfying this Kalyan, they will be getting negative consequences. The crop will be affected in the floods or crop will be affected by some pest. They will be not getting proper produce like that. So they will believe in that. And who will celebrate this festival? Agriculture communities, not all people. Do these traders want to get this blessings of Kalyan? No. So only agriculture societies, they will celebrate this festival. Clear? And you may get question like recently Kalyan is in news, which is celebrated in Kerala. So which of the following communities celebrate this? They'll give traders, they'll give agriculture societies, and they may give goldsmith, blacksmith like that. Who will celebrate this? Agriculture. Okay, so like that you will get questions. And even one more type of question you may get here is, they will take this agriculture festivals. For example, I've heard about this Bihu festival. Bihu. Bihu is also agriculture festival in Assam. So like that, they'll give on one side names of agriculture festivals, and on other side they'll give the states where they celebrate, and they may ask you to identify correct pairs and incorrect pairs. So in that way also you can expect question guys. You have to be very much careful. Okay, now let us see next article. See the title. What is this? Ties in region back in focus with PM's visit to Maldives. This article is talking about India-Maldives relations, right? So where is this Maldives located? Any idea? Anyone? Bottom of Lakshadweep. Okay. So this article is talking about India-Maldives relations. So from which subject it is important? From international relations, from GS paper 2, and even you have to see geography from GS paper 1. So when you open your map, so we have 10-degree channel, 9-degree channel, 8-degree channel. So which channels are dividing which? So even if you are writing other examinations like group, your state examinations or SSC, like that, in that examinations also they will give questions regarding these channels for sure. 10-degree channel is dividing Andaman and Nicobar. So 9-degree channel is dividing what and what. 8-degree channel is dividing what and what. So you have to see that. And next one here is you have to see. So where is Lakshadweep? Here we have Lakshadweep, and here somewhere we have Maldives. So now you guys tell me, Maldives is an island or not? What is the meaning of island? Okay, land piece which is surrounded by water is called as island. So India is called as peninsula. What is meaning of peninsula? Okay, so 3 sides we have water. We have Arabian Sea here, we have Indian Ocean here, here we have Bay of Bengal. So the piece of land which is covering water on 3 sides is called as peninsula. India is peninsula and this Maldives is island. Okay, so now you guys tell me, what is the economy of this country based on what? So normally islands countries, their economy will be dependent on tourism. Okay, so one thing which is clear, that economy is dependent on tourism, and now it is an island nation, right? So what are the challenges which is mainly faced by this island nations? Okay, tell me, what will be the normal challenges faced by an island nation? So now climate change is happening. So because of that, what is happening? Increasing of melting of glaciers. So because of this melting of glaciers, what happens? Increasing of sea level rise is happening. That means this area will be under threat of submergence underwater. Yes, this is a one important problem which is faced by these island nations. And next, any other problem? Because of tsunami. Tsunami, what happens? Submergence happens and loss of life, everything happens. Okay, so in geography there will be one concept. So if it is a sea level, okay, it is sea floor, for example. What are they? This is sea mount. So mountains inside the sea level is called as sea mount. So because of erosion, if this top of the sea mount which is becoming flat, what are there? Not gullies, guyots. Okay, if sea mount is above this water level, it forms island. Right. So how this sea mount, guyots and islands are forming? Because of plate tectonics? Okay. So because of plate tectonics, they will form. So these are the concepts that you studied in your geography, yes? So are these plates static? They will be moving, right? So because of this, always islands will be vulnerable to what? What happens when a plate moves? Yes, what are the disasters that they are going to get? They are susceptible to earthquakes, volcanic eruptions, and Maldives do have these threats. earthquakes and volcanic eruption. Okay, now you guys tell me. I will not tell. You have to tell. So now here India and Maldives is in news. So why these two countries come together for mutual cooperation? And Maldives will be expecting something from India. Okay, this is island nation. Do we have rivers there? So water is there that is surrounding this island. So which water we have around this? Salt water. That means Maldives needs fresh water for drinking. So now you guys tell me, if Maldives ask help to India, which kind of help it will ask? Okay, first one is fresh water. Next, which kind of security? And even food. Yes, India is largest producer of food. Yes, India can send food. Okay, next. Come on, think, you can do it. So this is the way how you have to read news. Actually, you know about this boycott Maldives campaign, which was very famous. Actually, what happened was last year. This was a story of last year. Our PM. Here we have Lakshadweep, right? Our PM, what he did was he went to Lakshadweep for tour. And Lakshadweep is very much famous for scuba diving and other water related activities, right? So he did all those activities and he posted that pics and videos in social media platforms. It is Twitter, I guess. So later on, what happened? There was controversy. So here our Prime Minister said that visit our Lakshadweeps and improve tourism. So this kind of statements he made. It affected inner feelings of Maldives. And what happened was the foreign ministers and other ministers of Maldives, they posted retaliatory statements in this Twitter against Prime Minister. And later on, our cinema celebrities, everyone, they reacted a lot and they started this movement called as hashtag boycott Maldives. That means they said that visit our places, visit our tourist centers and improve our GDP. If you are improving this GDP of Maldives. So because of this, what happened? So Indians, they started visiting tourist sites in India itself. So that this so-called Maldives tourism sector had been affected a lot. 30% of economy of this tourism will come from India itself to Maldives, that had been affected. So now, will they ask help regarding send tourism to Maldives? Yes. So now Maldives can ask help regarding boosting of tourism sector of Maldives. And now you guys tell me. So if Maldives is getting any earthquake or volcano or submergence, can India help that country or not? Yes. For humanitarian assistance also, they can ask help. Clear? And now what about India? Now you guys tell me. So India also wants some help in return from Maldives, yes or no? There is no free relationship or free gifts we want. So everything is give and take relationship only, even in love, even in mother's love or father's love, everywhere we have this thing, give and take relationship. There is nothing for free in this world. I don't know whether you'll accept it or not, it is true. Okay, now tell me what India can expect in return from Maldives. See the location. Concession, it is not that much. Yes, actually Maldives is located in Indian Ocean region. If we want to improve our presence in this Maldives, we need help of Maldives. Yes, because of this strategic location, we want to use this. And who is our enemy? China. So to counter this China in this Indian Ocean, we need help of this Maldives. Yes, next. And next, tell me. For fighting against this environment change or like climate change, we need support from the countries which are vulnerable to this. Yes or no? So for this, will Maldives help us? Yes. So these are the things which are given in this article, guys. That's it. Nothing more than this. You only said all those things. Okay. Now let us see exactly what they have said here. So our Prime Minister, he is going to visit Maldives on 25th and he is going to stay on 26th there. So why? Because It is the 60th independence. So India is attending this Maldives 60th Independence Day celebrations, and it also marks 60th anniversary of India-Maldives relations also. Okay, and actually, what is the historical context? How these relations had been developed? So India and Maldives, they share deep historical and as well as culture ties because it is very much near, and they are in this Indian Ocean region, right? And even India is acting as a first responder in times of crisis. For example, in 1988, there was coup in this Maldives. At that time also India went and helped, and even tsunami relief and even water shortage. For every problem in this Maldives, India became the first responder. So that we have good historical ties. And this one is recent strain was regarding this boycott Maldives movement because of our Prime Minister visit to Lakshadweep and posting of that pics and videos in Twitter. And next one here is we are focusing on reconciliation. So actually what happened was after this boycott Maldives movement, so we gave some choppers, we gave some equipment, military equipment to this Maldives. They sent back to India. So again, we are having talks regarding that reconciliation. And this one is Maldives is also an economic crisis because China is going for developmental activities in this Maldives. Wherever China goes and keep its leg, that country will fall under debt trap. Okay, for sure. It happened in Sri Lanka and it is also happening in Pakistan and even in Maldives also. So because of this, in that debt trap, actually they are having very less forex reserves because their tourism sector had been affected during this COVID-19 time, and also because of this boycott Maldives movement, that tourism sector had been hit badly. So because of this, there is very less foreign exchange reserves they are having. That is enough for only for their 1.5 months of imports. That means you are in balance of payment crisis. So whenever any country which is in balance of payment crisis, where they'll go? They'll go to IMF, International Monetary Fund, right? So there they need support from other countries. So India is the country where it will give assurance for the countries who approach this IMF for BOP. So recently Pakistan and as well as the Sri Lanka also went to IMF for this BOP crisis. So in that, India supported Sri Lanka but not Pakistan. In the same way, if this Maldives approaches IMF, India will be supporting this Maldives in this IMF. And next one here is India is also doing a lot of support economic aid. And next one is we launched a RuPay card there. And we also are going to have the discussions regarding free trade agreement with this Maldives soon. And this one here is India is also focusing on improving of security in this Indian Ocean region. And this Maldives is present in this Indian Ocean region so that it will be very helpful for our Sagar project. And this one is obviously they are asking about tourism recovery that I said. Clear? And see this article. Gujarat starts India's first tribal genome project. What is the keyword? Genome project? Yes? Okay, so it is about first tribal genome project. So from which subject we can see this? From science and technology. So in science and technology you might have studied about what is this Genome India project. So actually earlier our government of India came up with this project called as Genome India project. So in this flagship program, so government came up with isolating of 20,000 people's genome, and it is a very successful project. So here you have to know what is genome. So to understand this, now let us go to basics of science. So what is structure and function unit of any organism? We have cell, right? So cell is a structural and functional unit of any organism. So in this cell we have different cell components or cell organelles. So can anyone tell me what are the sub cell organelles we have in our cell?
Chromosomes.
Okay, not chromosomes. Next. Ribosomes, lysosomes, mitochondria, lysosomes. Next. Golgi complex, endoplasmic reticulum, smooth endoplasmic and rough endoplasmic reticulum, fibers, and we have cytoplasm, that is liquid in this cell, right? So very, very important cell organelles is, what is this? Nucleus. What will be there in the nucleus? Nuclear material. What is that nuclear material? DNA, right? So normally we can't see this nucleus or this nuclear material with our naked eye. Only during this cell division process, whatever the material which is there, now it will be condensed and will be forming chromosomes. So how many chromosomes we have in a cell? We have normally 23 pairs of chromosomes. That is nothing but 46 chromosomes. So in this chromosomes, whatever the DNA is there, that will be present in these arms. So what is genome? Genome is nothing but whatever the DNA which is present in this chromosomes. Pairs means nothing but we have like this 1, 2, 3, like that we will be having 23 pairs. So last 23rd pair is sex chromosomes. If you are a female, we will be having XX. If you are male, you will be having X and Y. Y will be small and X will be large. So this is the chromosomes, right? So in all these 46 chromosomes, whatever the DNA is there, we will be isolating and will keeping it together. That is called as genome. Clear? So genome is nothing but entire genetic material which is present in a cell, which includes DNA in all these 46 chromosomes. That is called as genome. So here our government came up with this Genome India project, where we collected entire genome of 20,000 people and we stored in a database. So that is about Genome India project. But now here state of Gujarat for the first time in the country is coming up with tribal genome project. So they are collecting just genome of tribals. Okay, this is this. So why we have to collect this tribal genome? Why? What is the reason? What can we do with that genome? Okay, I want to ask one question. Whether the way of life of tribals and normal society people is same or not? Different. So how it is different? The food habits they have, and next, the skills they have. They know natural medicine. We don't use that. We'll go to simply doctor and we'll get pills and we'll take that. But they don't do that. Next, what are the diseases? So for some diseases, they are very resistant. If they get that disease also, nothing will happen. If they get to us, we'll die. Yes or no? Is it there or not? So if you see the way of dressing, do they wear complete dressing like us? They are semi-wear, sometimes tribals, they don't wear anything. But even though they are adapted to live in very harsh climate. So normally in winter season, without this sweater, we can't live. Yes or no? In summer season, we need AC, we need coolers, or we need fans 24 hours. But how their people are living in this bright sun? That means they have certain changes in their genes, which is responsible for their survival. And even if they are getting some other disease which normal people are having, they won't survive, right? So because of this, we have to focus on taking care of their health also. And even we have to learn the specialities they know. And I want to share one thing. So tribals who are present in this, especially Madagascar, do you know this Madagascar region? Madagascar region, in some South Asian regions, they know the roots in the sea. Even we don't know that. So they will go by their own traditional boats and they can explore lots of areas. They have lot of knowledge, but we people don't have that. And even normally if you see in the mainstream society now where we are living, if you see deliveries, normally C-section deliveries are happening more. Normal deliveries are very, very less. Do the people have this C-section deliveries? They are having very easy normal deliveries. How? Because of their knowledge. They have very high intense knowledge regarding traditional medicine. So they know which plant, which medicinal properties they have, how they have to use them. So if you get that kind of knowledge, can we improve our medicine? Because India is already doing very good in pharmaceutical sector. So we can earn a lot through this medical tourism if you are getting that kind of traditional knowledge from these tribals. So because of this, we need to have this Genome India project. Okay, and these tribals are also the integral part of society, and government is responsible for taking care of them also. So for this, state of Gujarat is coming up with this tribal genome project, and in this project they are going to collect genome of 2000 people only. Okay, so this topic is important from your society and your science and technology, guys. Don't neglect this. See here the tribal genome sequencing project launched by Gujarat by in this July month, and it is one of the groundbreaking initiative, and it's one of the first state-led effort to sequence genomes of tribal communities. And the title of this theme is, this study is creation of reference genome database for tribal population in Gujarat. And which agency is doing this? Gujarat Biotechnology Research Center is doing this, and they are going to collect 2000 genomes across 17 districts of Gujarat. And the important objective is we have to identify which kind of genetical health risk they have. And normally this tribal people will go for endogamy, that is marriages will happen in their community itself for generation to generation. So because of this they have a lots of risk of genetic diseases. So we are going to identify which kind of genetic health diseases they have, and if we have this genome data, then we can enable early detection of that disease, and if possible we can also prevent that kind of inherited diseases, so that we can also boost health in these tribal areas. As I said, genome is nothing but the complete set of genetic material present in an organism or cell. So normally we are taking 23 pairs of chromosomes. In that 23 pairs of chromosomes, whatever the DNA genetic material we have, we will be taking that and we will be isolating that. That is called as genome. And what are the advantages of this project? First one is early detection of diseases and even treatment. For example, we have sickle cell anemia. So what is a sickle cell anemia? Do you have any idea? No? Okay, normally in our blood, how many types of blood cells we have? In blood of humans, we have RBC, that is nothing but red blood cells, and white blood cells, and platelets. So these are the three important blood cells in our blood, right? So RBC will be in disc shape like this. Okay, this is the shape of RBC. So what happens in the sickle cell anemia is the shape of RBC becomes like this. So because of this, there is no proper supply of oxygen to each and every cell, because RBC is responsible for supplying of oxygen. So there is very less supplying of oxygen to each and every body cell. Our next one here is where this blood moves in blood vessels, right? So if it is in this disc shape, it is not causing any harm to your wall of blood cell. Then what happens if it is in sickle cell? It will be rupturing your blood cells. It will cause damage to your walls of this blood vessels. Inflammation happens. So there is no proper movement of blood cells, everything. So lots of problems will have. And it is a genetic disorder. Normally, tribal peoples will be having this sickle cell anemia because of intergenerational marriage within that same community. So we are going to address this kind of problems, guys. Okay, next one here is we can go for personalized healthcare. So if we have this genome data and we can identify that which group is having which kind of diseases, and we can go for targeted medical interventions in that tribal area, so that we can increase the survival rate in that tribes. Yeah. And even this project, which is also very, very helpful for complementing our India's genome project. And we can go for disease prevention, and we can also get insights regarding to which diseases they have natural immunity. Okay, so that we can take that kind of foods or medicines, how they are using, and we can implement in our mainstream society, so that we can boost our medical tourism. So have you heard this medical tourism word? So if you go to hi-fi multi-speciality hospitals, we can see Africans, we can see other country people will be coming and taking treatment here in India. India is even very famous for this medical tourism. Why? Because in other countries the cost for the surgeries or treatment will be high compared to that of India. So because of this, we can attract more number of foreigners if we have this integration of this tribal knowledge with our traditional medicinal system. Okay, see this article. Some cheer. India needs to diversify its energy sources to keep trade deficit low. So, did we discuss any article regarding trade deficit in yesterday's class? What is that? Service sector exports are increasing so that it is decreasing our trade deficit. So, the same thing which is given, and this entire first paragraph is about data. Please ignore this. There is no need of remembering that data, anything. So, actually, in trade, what we have? Imports and exports, right? And now this article is saying that we are doing good exports in service sector, so that we decreased it to some extent of trade deficit of our country. So in imports, what are the imports that we are getting from other country? Crude oil, gold. So these are the costly imports, right? So this article is saying that rather than importing of crude oil, we can go for generating of our energy. Like we have to focus on renewable energy sources. So if you are increasing your renewable energy sources, the dependency on this crude oil will be reduced or increased? Reduced. So that will lead to furthermore decreasing of trade deficit or not? That is this thing, nothing more in this. So this article is saying that we have to go for diversification of our energy. Rather than depending on this crude oil, we can go for generation of more power by using wind energy or solar energy, and we can also increase this electrification, electric vehicles. Okay, so that is the thing which mainly said, nothing more in this article, only that 2 points that you have to remember. And see this article, safe havens no more. Sexual violence in workplace and education institutions is worrying. What is this article talking about? Safety of women at workplace. So actually this first entire paragraph it is about the recent incidents which happened in different states where sexual assault, sexual violence, rape and murder of women happened in different states. Okay, so they gave example that is from Odisha to Karnataka, Bengal to Delhi. Violence against women has seen and omnious. Omnious is nothing but present everywhere. Everywhere in each and every state of our country, we are having this problem of sexual violence. There is no safety for women. Okay, they gave examples, so no need of remembering that examples. So see only this area. So in this area, in this paragraph, they said that we have one act called as Sexual Harassment at Workplace Act. Please make a note. So keep heading Women's Safety in Workplace. Keep heading Women's Safety in Workplace. So there write this act, that is, so here you can see Sexual Harassment of Women at Workplace Act of 2013. Sexual Harassment at Workplace Act 2013. And next one, write this data. According to NCRB, every year we have around 5 lakh cases of crimes against women. Crimes against women cases are increasing, and in this crimes against women, keep examples and write domestic violence. Where it is? Okay, domestic violence, cruelty by husband or relatives. You can imagine this movie Rakhi, Telugu movie. So cruelty by husband or his relatives. And next one is assault on women. Assault on women. And next one is rapes. So these are the 3 more cases which are registering according to NCRB. Okay, now you guys tell me what are the reasons why there is no safety for women at workplace or education institutions or whatever it may be. So why there is no safety? They are vulnerable only. Next. Women are weaker in what? What are those aspects? Women are as strong as men, but they appear like they are weak. Okay, they are weak in defense. Okay, next. Don't we have any women fighters? Then how they are weak in defense? Not all women. Or all men are good at defense? All men. Yes? Yes or no? Some is saying no, some is saying yes. There is no unity in you. Okay, see here. So just you have to note about this Sexual Harassment at Workplace Act and what are the provisions of that. So see that once after the class and see about what are the reasons why there is no safety in women and your future IPS officers also, right? So you have to take efficient measures because patrolling is your duty. So how you can control this kind of cases, I left it to you. So come up with your own solutions, guys. Okay, now let us see here. This article is saying that sexual violence in workplace and even in education institutions, it is a pervasive issue, and because of it, it undermines the safety of women and as well as dignity of life and as well as equality. Okay, so data which is saying that NCRB indicates that 65% of women in colleges they face sexual harassment, and 90% of cases are unreported. Why? Because they have fear of shame, they have fear of lack of trust, and you can see this movie Anasuya. In that movie, Ravi Babu sketch. Okay, so in that movie, that girl is pursuing MBBS and she'll be having harassment from her faculty, and finally that will leads to something else. Okay, so here many a times in colleges, women they will not report this kind of sexual harassment because of fear, because of shame, because of lack of trust, everything. And even in the workplace also, 60% of women and girls they report experiencing sexual contact and abuses. So because of this, many people they will resign to their jobs, and that is the one important reason why there is very low female labor force participation in India. And what are the reasons? So we have our societal norms. That is, we are in patriarchal society where we have male dominant societies. That is the one important reason. And they always view that women are subordinate to men. They have to listen to the words of the men. And this one is power dynamics. So especially in workplaces or education institutions, there is like power imbalances. That is the one important reason. And next one is legislative gap. Already we came up with this act called as Sexual Harassment of Women at Workplace Act in 2013 itself, and even we came with Vishaka guidelines. You'll be studying about this Vishaka guidelines in your governance topic, I guess. Yeah, so you have to see that, very important. So according to this act and Vishaka guidelines, they said that wherever we have women in institutions, in education institutions or in any workplace, they have to establish one internal complaints committee. But most of the institutions they don't have this internal complaints committee where women can complain about the sexual harassment related issues. And next one is there is lack of accountability. There is very weak enforcement and as well as societal stigma which is there. Because of this, there is under reporting. And next one is limited awareness about the consent and they don't know about their rights. And next one is unsafe environments we are having normally, and there is no proper psychological support after this kind of event happened. So because of all these things, yes, we don't have proper safety for women. And what are the solutions? The first one here is we need to implement this POSH Act, Prevention of Sexual Harassment at Workplace Act, clearly. And next one is we can come up with some legislative reforms, like in education institutions. For sure we need to have this internal complaints committee. And next one is we have to focus on early education. So especially California came up with one program called as Healthy Youth Act. So because of that, that reduced a lot of sexual harassment in education institutions. In the same way, we have to focus on early education in our education institutions. And next one here is we have to go for training and as well as awareness. So through these mechanisms, we can reduce this sexual harassment cases and as well as we can ensure safety for women at the workplaces. Clear? So these are the things. And these are the important articles that appeared in our today's Hindi newspaper, guys. By this, I'm concluding. I want to remind once again. So today is the last day for anthropology demo classes on online and offline. So please do utilize this opportunity. And from today onwards, we are going to launch this early bird offer. So if you join from this today till 20th, we are going to provide you anthropology course at a very low cost. For offline, it is 30,000 rupees. For online, it is 20,000 rupees. Try to use this opportunity, guys. And if you have any queries regarding this anthropology course or GS foundation course, you can call us on this number 8074765513, and you can also text a message there on WhatsApp on the same number, guys. And please do subscribe to Rathod Science Academy, don't forget, and you can also follow us on Instagram page. Thank you so much, guys.